Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. It's day 84 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript, and we have got another exciting problem to solve together. Today's challenge is all about to check if all the object values are of same data type. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have here our question along with the sample input and output. So let us read out the question. We have to write a JavaScript function that checks whether all the values in an object are of same data type. And down we have been provided with our sample input and output, right? Now we will come down and first of all, we are going to break this particular question. So we have to write here what JS function. So I will take this and I'm going to put it over here. After that, what is the next important part of this question? That we have to check whether all the values in an object are of same data type. So we will take this and we are going to put it over here. Let us come at line number 9 and we are going to define our function name. So our function name will be what? Our values same data type. Okay. So I will write here the same. Okay. Same data type. Okay. So this will be our function name and we are going to use it when we are going to write our function. Now let us come to this part and we will understand how we are reaching to this particular output, okay, from a specific input. So let us understand from this particular input, okay. This is our object. Now in this, how many key and value pair we have? We have 3, that is A:1, B:2 and C:3, right? Now in this, what are the values? It is nothing but 1, 2 and 3, right? And in the question, we have to check whether all the values in an object are of same data type. So we have to check the data type of the values, right? So 1 data type is what? Number. 2 data type is what? Number again. What is the 3 data type? It is again a number. And since all of them are same, we are getting in the output as what? True. Okay. Now let us go for the second input object. Here, how many key and value pair? 3, right? A:1, B:text and C:3. Now here, what are the values? 1, text and 3. Now we have to check their data type, right? So 1 data type is what? Number. What is text data type? String. What is 3 data type? Number. If you see here, all the values of their data type are not same, right? That is why here we get what? False, okay? Now we come to this one. It is an empty object. Here they have said if it is an empty object, you have to give me what? True, okay? So that also we are going to do it, okay? Now for the last input object, what do we have? A:true, B:false and C:true. In the output, we are getting true. Why? Let us see. What are the values here? True, false and true, right? If you check their data type, it is not written in double quotes. It is just true, false and true. So their data types are what? Boolean. And all of them have a Boolean data type. That is why in the output, we are getting as what? True, okay? So here, if we see here, it is true, here it is false, here it is true, and here it is true, right? Now we have understood how we are reaching to this particular output, right? From the given input. So we will write here what? Our approach on that basis, okay? The first thing what we are going to do here is we are going to extract here the values, okay? From our object. So we have to extract it, correct? So how we are going to extract it? We will be using here Object.values method, okay? So what this will return? It will give me an array of what? Of the values. So it returns an array of all the values, okay? So how we are going to write it? So suppose we take this as our object, okay? So let us come here and I will write here what? Obj is equal to this. So how we are going to write it? We will write here what? Object.values, and in this we will pass our obj, okay? So what it will return? It is going to return me an array of our values. So I will write here what? 1, 2, 3. So this method returns me what? It returns me an array of our object values. So we will store inside a values variable, okay? Now, after this, first of all, we are going to check for this empty object. When it is an empty object, you give me what? True, okay? So for that, we are going to write our if condition, okay? And in that, what will be our condition? We will be taking this values, okay? So I will take this values dot length we will write, and if this is equal to 0, I am going to print what? True. Now why I am writing this logic? Because if it is an empty, you will not get here anything inside an array, right? And thus it will remain as empty. So the length will be 0, and if our length is 0, you please print true. That is what we are saying, and we will achieve this, okay? And also we have to do here what? Our early return. Why early return? Because I don't want to execute our rest of the code, okay? So that is where we are going to stop it, okay? Now we will check for the remaining input objects, okay? So we will check for our remaining input objects. I will write here, okay? Now, in the remaining input objects, what are they? We have this, correct? We have this as well, and we have this also, right? So we are going to check now for the remaining three. So for that, what we are going to do? First of all, we will store our first value data type, okay? So for that, we are going to declare a variable. So I will declare a variable called as what? First type, okay? And in this, we are going to store the type of our first value using type of, okay? So I will write here what? Type of, okay? And then how can I get it? I will be using this variable itself. So type of values, right? Of 0. This is going to give me the data type. If we are talking with respect to this, so here the output I am going to get as what? Number, okay? Now this we are keeping it stored inside our first type, okay? Now what we will do, using this first type, we are going to compare with the remaining, okay? Now we have to do a comparison check with the remaining. So how we will be doing it? We will be using here our every method, okay? What does this method do? This method takes a callback function, okay? So it is going to take what? Callback function, and inside a callback function, you have to write a condition, okay? If that condition passes, you will get what? True. And every method means it is going to work for the each element of that array, and each element should pass that test. That is why the name is every. So each element should pass the test, okay? And if each element is passing the test, then only we are going to get here as what? True. Otherwise, we are going to get as what? False. So this method we are going to use it. So we will come down and see what we are going to write it. So we will be writing here what? Our values, okay? It's an array method, so we will have to write here what? Values.every we will be writing it, and inside that we are going to pass our callback function, okay? Now in this we will write here what? Element, because it is going to work on each and every element. It will test its condition on each and every element. So we will write here our condition, okay? So what will be our condition? We are going to write here what? Type of element we will write, and we are going to write here what? Is equal to first type, okay? It will check with all of them. So this element will have to be same as first type. If it is same, it will return me what? True. Otherwise, it is going to return me false, okay? So depending upon the cases, it is going to give me true and false, okay? And what we will do, this also we are going to store it inside a variable called as a result, okay? So I will write here what? Result is equal to. And then finally, we are going to print our result, okay? So this result variable, we will print it, and we are going to get our final output, okay? So this will be our entire approach which we are going to do it, okay? Now, since we have understood how we are going to write, now since we have understood this approach, so let us do the same implementation inside our function as well. So I will write here our function, and our function name will be what? Our value same data type, and let us invoke it, okay? So I will invoke it here. First, I will just pass my empty object, okay? After that, again, I will invoke it and we will take our first input object. So let us take this and we will put it over here, okay, inside this. Now let us receive it here as a obj as a parent. So I will write here what obj and we will just console it out. So console.log of obj, I am going to write it and we will write here what node day 84 challenge and hit enter. What we got, first our empty object and another our input object, right? So both of them we are getting it, right? Now first of all we are going to extract the values, right? So we will write here what let values is equal to, and which method we will be using, Object.values method, right? So I will write here what Object.values, and inside that I am going to pass our obj, correct? Now let us just console it out. So console.log values, and let us see what do we get in the terminal. Okay. So I will write here what node 84 challenge and hit enter. First I got here was empty, correct? And second I got here what 1, 2 and 3, right? Now you can see here, right? For this empty object, we are getting what empty array because we don't have any key and value pair, right? So it cannot extract, but it will return an empty array. Okay. That is what it is returning me. And here it has extracted properly 1, 2 and 3, correct? That is what we are getting here. Now the first thing we are going to do it for our empty object, right? So we will write here what our if condition, and we are going to write here what values.length is equal to 0. Then you please print here what true. So I will write here what console.log of true I am going to write, and we have to do what early return, correct? Now let us come here and we will just run it. So I will write here what CLS and then node 84 challenge and hit enter. If you see, for this we are getting true. Here we have not written anything for them, right? Now we will come down and we will write for them as well, okay? So we will come down and we will create a variable, right, called as a first type, and this will hold what? It will hold our type of our first value, right? So let us declare it. Let first type is equal to type of, we will write, then values of our 0, okay? Now we will just console it out. So I will write here what console.log first type, okay? Let us see what do we get in the terminal. So I will just clear it up. Node day 84 challenge and hit enter. We got here what? Our number, right? So we are getting the data type of what? 1 we are getting, right? Now after this, we are going to do a comparison check, right? For that, we are going to use our array method, correct? What was the array method we are going to use? It is nothing but our every method, right? So let us come and do that. So first of all, I will declare a variable called as a result. And in this, we will write what? Values.every, correct? And then inside this, it will take a callback function and we will pass here what? Element, right? And then we are going to write here what? Our type of element is equal to our first type, right? Then you give me true, right? And it is going to check for all the values. That means each element it is going to check. And I will just console here what? Result. Let us see what do we get, okay? So I will write here result and we will come here, clear it up and rerun it. Node day 84 challenge and hit enter. We got here what? True. That means here it is getting me true and our all the values of the data types are same, correct? Now we will check for this input also. So let us take this and we will come here and invoke it. So I will write here what? Our values same data type, and inside this pass our input object, okay? Now let us clear it up and rerun it. And we will see here what we are getting here as what? False, because we already discussed, right? B colon text, that means text value is a string data type, right? And that is where here we get here as what? False, right? If you check for the last one, you will get true because all of them are what? Boolean, right? Let us test that out. So you come here and write here what? Our value same data type and invoke it, and inside this pass our input object. So let us clear it up and rerun it here and let us see the output, okay? What we get? Boolean and it is a true, correct? Here it is a number, all of them true. Here it is not, right? Number, string and number, correct? That is why here we get false. And here we are getting again true because it was an empty array, right? So we wrote our logic, right? Because if it's an empty object, it will give me an empty array. We calculated the length and we got here as true, right? Now what we will do, we will just comment out our console.log statement. So line number 28, line number 30, line number 33 not needed, right? Then line number 38 we will do it and then we will save it, and now we will just clear it up and we will write here what? Node day 84 challenge and hit enter. We got here what? True, true, false and true. Now we have got our exact output with respect to this particular inputs, right? Now we will come above and we will have a quick recap of this question. Now what is the question? We have to write here what? A JavaScript function that checks whether all the values in an object are of same data type, right? Then here we have been provided with several input and output, correct? Then we came at line number 9 and 10 and we defined our function and we also understood our input and output also, right? And then we wrote our approach on the basis of that. So first what we did, we extracted the values from an object, right? And for that we used our Object.values method, correct? And then first test case we wrote here for what? When our object is empty, right? So then we wrote here what? Our values.length is equal to 0. Please print true and you please do a early return. How this was possible? Because this method is returning what? An array, correct? Array of what? Array of our object value. So that is why we use this and we did here this logic and we did a early return as well. So that further execution should stop, correct? After that, what we did it for the remaining input objects, right? So we came here and we declared a variable, right, called as a first type, and there we stored the type of our first value using our type of, right? And after that, we used this for a comparison purpose. Then we used our array method, that is nothing but a every method, right? So array every method we used here, and in that we passed our callback function. In that function we have to write a condition and it is going to work for each and every element of that particular array. If that condition passes out, we are going to get true. That means all of them, right? And otherwise it will give me false. So depending upon the scenario, it will give me true and false, right? And finally, we will print that particular result, correct? The same thing we wrote inside our function also. Then at line number 27, we wrote our function and our function name was what? Our value same data type, right? And we were receiving here what? Our obj. Then we just consoled our obj to test whether we are getting our input objects or not. Then we wrote here a method called as Object.values to extract the values from our object, right? And we consoled and we tested also. Then we wrote this logic for an empty object, right? That if our values.length is equal to 0, then you please print true and you also do a early return, right? Then we did here a check for a remaining objects, correct? So for that we declared a variable and we stored here our type of first value, correct? Using a type of, correct? Then we came here and we used our array every method, right? It is going to work on each and every element of that particular array, right? And we wrote here our conditional test. If this conditional test passes out, that means all the elements should pass out. If that is the case, it is going to give me what? True. Otherwise, it will return me false. And finally, we printed here, right? And that is where we got our output as well. So then we came here at line number 44 to 48 and we invoked it with different objects, right? And we got here our exact output on the basis of what the logic we have written, right? Let us clear it out and see one more time. So I will write here what? Node 84 challenge and hit enter. We got here what? Our exact output, right? So this is what it was asking us and we have done the same thing, okay? Now I will tell you why this challenge is important. This challenge is useful because it enhances the understanding of data validation techniques. It also strengthens the concept of the data type and array methods like every, and it is helpful in the scenario like form validation and data consistency checks, all those things, right? And guys, that's all for today. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more exciting content. Keep pushing your limits, keep practicing, and I will see you tomorrow with another exciting challenge. So thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.